our trend presentation, colors and trends for winter 21-22, an update, and the kickoff of the season summer 22. As usual, as you are used to it, and we do this every year like this, but now unusual way, only online. But I hope you will enjoy the presentation, and we will give you, as said, first an update for winter 21-22, and then an overview of summer 22. The first input from my colleagues and me, an international trend team, and together we do, as a team under my guidance, the Performance Colors by Nora Kühner, a unique project, a collaboration between Performance Days and myself, and a sports forecast, color forecast, done by sports designers, sports experts, sports sports lovers, sports people, and we hope you will enjoy what you see. It was a little bit difficult, I have to admit, to prepare this, because of course in these challenging times, people, and we too, we were not so, at first not so in the mood to think about what will be 2 years ahead, or at least 1.5 years. Rather difficult for all of us, I think, to imagine how things will continue. But on the other hand side, when I was preparing this presentation and I looked at what we have done for the past seasons, and especially the next season, which we presented first in November at Performance Days, the season 20, winter 21-22, we called it In Between. And yeah, and I think a lot of us, we feel right now like being in between, or maybe someone has put a pause for us. We are obliged to pause or to slow down. And so this in between is something we now have to live in, and to get us arranged and adapted to these new circumstances. So I hope that when actually the season 21-22 is the season we are living in, that we will have overcome the difficulties of today, and that we have found some way, and maybe also the medical possibilities to return to life and business as we might have been used to, but maybe also to change, because this is what it's all about. Living the in-between means also to see that we have to change, to accept that we have to change, and to look for new possibilities, new ways. Due to technological advances, scientific advances, we all know that we have to change. Life is changing constantly, but we shy a little bit away because we are afraid. But I think the fear we feel at the moment, most of us, is much bigger than this. When we defined our color forecast in between, this wide variety of possibilities, of opportunities we have now, and we shy away a little bit from making a real decision. Where do we want to go? Where do we want to go as a society? And also with our collections and with our brands, what are the narratives of our future, near future? So we came up with a color scheme, as you know, with Performance Colors by Nora Kühner. We always do now the seasonal core colors, as we call them. So each season we define about 6 or 7 color stories, but in each story, which is composed by about 6 to 8 color shades, we define 3 core colors. These are the tones we should use, which set the tone and which will give the mark to the relevant color story. So you see here that we have a slightly muted range of colors, 6 different stories, as I said, very light in feeling. Only one story on the right hand side down, Splendid Isolation, is really deeper and more saturated, but nevertheless it's a rather light and easygoing color mood. And for the first time we felt the need for a joker, because if the joker is something also in between. And we said, okay, when we saw these color schemes, these first impressions of the core colors, we need to have something which spices this whole thing up and which will work with every story. So we created the joker color, and this is a 36, a nearly fluo pink. And you will see later on when I show you more pictures about the single stories that how we can use it. So first of all, we start with a feeling. I think this is now even more present more common for us. So we don't know what is up and what is down. We feel slightly insecure. On the other hand side, slowing down, also not knowing and really where to go to, opens new perspectives, new thinkings, new chances. And so this first story called Midair is also a flight of fantasy, of thinking about what could be done, or what could be possible, or what would we like, and what are the dreams we think of, and how can we as human beings, and especially as designers and brands, shape the future of our sector, and of course the future of the people who use our products. So, and you see here just a bit the mood of this very, very easy story with a light breeze, really very soft thing. On the other hand side, it's also about volumes, about cozy atmosphere, enveloping. Also, the fabric structures go into this direction. So you see, nevertheless, it's always about being light, not heavy volume and not heavy weights, but really smart lightness, I would call it. And you see here the colors, as said before, the three ones which are where the circles are a little bit bigger than the other circles. So number 1, 2, and 3, they are the core colors we define, and then the other set accents, especially the turquoise, the deep turquoise, is really fleshing the story up, while the dark brown, the earthy brown, is a perfect backdrop for the lightness of the other colors. And you see also here the really fragile vibrancy of these colors and the color mood, and which is also reflected by graphics and print. And here a beautiful work of my Italian colleague Mirella Beccucci, and a quote from her, which she gave for these color combinations. We always do for per story some recommendations how to do coloring, how to pair the colors. And she has done Midair because she loved the spirit with way of gliding, and really also go up yourself to enlighten your spirit and to dream of what the future might bring. So the next story is about Lost in Illusion. It's an immersive experience which more people are really living already. More and more people immerse themselves into virtual realities, create new realities, and really switch from one reality to the other. And so it's also a big space of possibilities, of new narratives, of new worlds, and new ways of interaction. And so we see also in insecure times, a lot of people on the other hand side get lost in such illusions, in such, which is not negative, but just to dream of other things and just to find, I would say, a balance to the highly complex and chaotic real life analog world at times. So on the other hand side, with coming together, bringing together analog, virtual, and not talking about really that these are separated. It's melting into one another, and the new technological possibilities open also new opportunities for doing patterns. I think if you know me, you have heard very often that I don't like so much paisley patterns, and I'm still waiting for the paisley of the 21st century. What will be a modern way or a modern motif, which we will see that often like we do this with paisley. Therefore, this is a challenge also for the patterns, for textile patterns, for graphics, which go beyond the conventional, the traditional, and we see a lot of expressive compositions and a lot of movement in these patterns. And in general, also the surfaces of fabrics should come more to life, just to reflect light and shadow, so that we really have fabrics which enlighten also the functional jacket or functional pant. You see here the color scheme. We loved especially this pairing of this ochre and the golden ochre, and then the green, and especially the nearly fluo green, which is just as an accent. Of course, we all know that the light fastness and washing fastness is not there, but we like it as a maybe some piping or in prints to lighten up the whole scenery. Because also here you see it's a story which is goes more to the darker mood. So it's this uncertainties of current life, and also this fear of future is also influencing also our lust for color. So, and here we have saturated hues, but and also a very interesting and familiar atmosphere on one hand side, and on the other hand side with a slightly touch of a little bit uncanny. The fabric here is from Schöller, shows really very well this mood in colors. I love this. I'm always happy to find something which I can show, which fits our color schemes. And what I also love is this takeoff to space or wherever from my colleagues from the color illustration, which my colleague from Lithuania did. And so you see all this complexity, these networks of the modern digitalized world, and inspired the graphics. I love this very much, and I think the perspective to space, to the future, this forward-oriented spirit is really great. Then, the status quo, cut loose. We have exploited Earth. We all know that. There's no discussion about this. I think we have done what we could to feed our needs, to satisfy and get what we want. But on the other hand side, slowly but surely, we see that this way of living and making business is no longer tolerable, because we are damaging our base, our living base, which is Earth and nature. So cut loose is just a reflection of what we did. And when I read these lines, which I added to the e-magazine, which was out by beginning of February, in between extremes and out of scale, like a dance on the volcano, risky collisions and manipulated dissonances. Yeah, let's start doing it right. I think the Corona crisis really shows some of the things we already had. Yeah, our feelings were like this, and now it was really for me a little bit stunning to read this again, and I thought, yes, it's exactly what some of us may feel at the moment. So it's a very strong reddish story marked by red. In fact, the thing why we put so much red in this, and also the fiery red, was that one colleague from Italy last autumn brought a lot of pictures from the fires in Australia. And so now we are all on fire, I think. Okay, so disorder and manipulation are key to eye-catching, colorful graphics, and the colors are also very eye-catching, a very fiery red, then an energetic pink. I hope that the colors on your screen will work well. I try to do my best to make them look like what it would be in analog life. And so we have just some accent colors like a grayish blue and vanilla yellow, which enlightens the scenery. So, and here our next topic is symmetry, where symmetry unfolds. I think we all know very well that most of our cities and most of our architecture in big cities is really looking very much the same. It's strictly geometrical, and sometimes you really get fed up. It's wonderful to see, and it's also something which we all admire if we go to see skyscrapers in New York or San Francisco or anywhere in the world. But on the other hand side, yeah, sometimes the question is it sheer beauty or is it just boredom? And I think very often it's boredom. But on the other hand side, the human brain likes to detect patterns because we only feel well and secure if we can decipher codes, if we can decipher patterns. So we want to be well ordered in order to feel more secure and more familiar and more cozy. But on the other hand side, our lust for newness always wants to break this perfect appeal of strict geometry. So we break this geometry by colors, and we were inspired by watercolors, by swimming pools, by things like this. So and also the classy, steely touch of our architecture and our environment. So the three core colors are the two turquoise shades, a light one and a more intense one, and then this rosy color, which is really quite nice. I'm usually not so much a fan of rose, but in this way I think it's a really wonderful story, very charming, and also a little bit trans-seasonal, because as we all know, winter is not always what it used to be years ago. So we also have to think with our collections more in a trans-seasonal way. And so this color story, of course, could also be one of for summer or for springtime, and also for cruise collections if we would be in fashion. So this is a all-year color story, I would say, and very nice one with strong accents of this number 25 with rusty red, and the number 21 again the vanilla yellow. And here, just to show a little bit how symmetry can be broken and get order and set it on stage a little bit more attractive, and also a color play here, tonal color play, transparent layering, which is also a topic for fabrics, for lightweight fabrics, layering and colorful and underlining the transparency with coloring, with fade out coloring, with blurring colors and things like that. Here some patterns. As I said before, we were also inspired by what happened last year with all the fires, and we became aware of the extinction of animals and plants all around the globe. And so we felt the need to work with natural forms, with natural designs, which inspired us. And so my colleague Felicia Tarracone from Italy, she did something based on butterfly forms, and the fabric we show in the background of Tiggerson and Burke really fits with spirit very well, with movement, with coziness on one hand side, but also with strict geometry. But due to light and shadow, it doesn't look boring. So the next story, also one, when I read this again, I thought, okay, splendid isolation. At the moment, isolation is not so splendid. But, and I think we all want to overcome isolation, most of us. But on the other hand side, we have seen during the last years in social cultural circumstances that a lot of yeah, around the world, a lot of countries try to be on their own, and we erect barricades to keep others from coming in. And but also on the other hand side, also connected to our sector, people look for relaxation, and they are eager to go to far away, secluded resorts, wellness resorts, and just to be off, to be disconnected from the rest of the world, and to be in a safe space, which is really making them feel more relaxed, and which helps them to feel well. So these are some interpretations and ideas for how we could see this importance also for us. The background of this graphic here with this slightly shimmering and very rough surface, but on the other hand side, not really rough, but due to the finish, so that it's also a shimmering, smooth surface. Here the color scheme, as said before, this is the one which is really, yeah, uncanny and strange a little bit. It's familiar, we know the colors, it's the colors of the sunset, the colors of a grayish day with storms. So this is the feeling a little bit, splendid isolation, and in this storm we want to feel secure, therefore we see this violet and also this warmer tone of red, and then the green, the jade green, to bring down this uncanny feeling, to warm the scenery and to make it more appealing to us. But I think we also think that it's a very strong story for outerwear, for outdoor sports. And we see a lot of checks, like my colleague from France, Marie Cosbar, she did a very nice way of doing new checks. You also know maybe that I don't love so much checks, but this one is really, really beautiful. I love it, what she has done. And I also love this fabric on the left-hand side, which with these small dots, just tonal dots in this fabric. It's also, yeah, isolated dots. So, and altogether, by the end of the story of In Between, we said, no, it's only to make the future, to shape the future, to go to for new ways. It needs to be together, to help together, to support each other. And I brought from Austria last year this word Zemsi, which is an Austrian dialect in the eastern part of Austria. No, western part, sorry, western part, and it means being together. And funny thing was that my colleague who has done the color combinations for this story, you will see them in a second or in a minute, she told me, she's living in northern Germany, and she said, I love the word. I don't know what it means, but I love the word, and I would like to do the color combinations for this story. So yeah, so Zemsi is something we miss at the moment, but we need it, and across countries, across cultures, across generations, to work together on the future. So I think at the moment we look with a certain envy to this picture I show you here, all these different pictures, being outdoors, being together, playing around with friends, being at the beach and things like this. But I'm sure these times will come back sooner or later. So the color scheme is a very warm one, a very earthy one, the warm colors of earth. We like the spirit of being outdoors, of enjoying the earth, and enjoying what nature offers us and the beauty of nature. And in this feeling, we see we have to tackle future topics. So, and here we already announced color combinations of my colleague Gabi Altrock, Design What Works. And I think she has really done a great job illustrating this beautiful topic. Okay, so what's coming up after lockdown, after passing some time the next month. Before looking forward, really, I want to show you this picture from which we had in our forecast for summer 2020 on the road. Freeze frame. And I think this is exactly what we experienced. Background back in 2018 when we were working on the season was a little bit different, but in fact it was like, hey, we always want to keep what we know, what is familiar to us, and therefore we like to freeze the moment, and therefore we put the story freeze frame, which is now we are all living at the moment in a freeze frame, I think. So again, it's a really stunning experience. And also the next picture you see here, it's from our story from the color forecast winter 2021. So the season which will be the next we will be living. So it starts in September. Vortex, it's called our forecast at that time, Vortex. And yeah, and at that time, 2018, we are talking about natural disasters, migration, planetary crisis, climate change, instability, tech clash, and so on and so on. Yeah, and now we are in another vortex, or we can add another topic to this vortex. Let's hope that the season winter 2021, I think we will still have to tackle the problems, or we will still suffer from the outcomes of this lockdown, but let's make the best of it. So, therefore, summer 22, we all had the feeling, when I was discussing with my colleagues by beginning of the year, we all had the feeling that it's not enough to only give some color inspiration in a usual background. We think that as future is so, for many people have so much fear of changing things, of doing something different, and make more use of technology, or to say stop to damaging the nature and things like that. We want to show that there are stories which are positive, because positive change is possible. We really believe in this because we are designers. We have a strong relationship with shaping also the future. A future that just doesn't fall down from sky, but it's something we can all together shape and try our best to make it change for better. So the summer 22 is stories of another tomorrow. When I got, of course, the season's start was a little bit difficult, as we couldn't meet in person, and also what my colleagues, only a small group, felt the mood to contribute. And when I looked through the pictures and the mood boards I got via email, these were the topics which came over and over again. So yeah, the feeling of a lockdown and the envy to go out, the lust for going out, sorry, not the envy, the lust for going out, but you cannot go out. And I think a lot of people have now discovered how important it is to go out. Though we all know that more and more, even the young, especially the young generation, more and more young people spend more and more time out indoors than outdoors. And but now we all have recognized, I guess, what it means to have the possibility to go out and to enjoy nature. Also this, I think, and one thing which is shown by the crisis, that we all love to go out to nature, to see springtime, to see nature in its most beautiful form. I'm doing my walks in a park next to here, and it's really stunning to see how many young people just walk around. So because it's our last feeling of freedom at the moment, when you are when you are restricted in going out. So our color card over the color schemes, the core colors of the season. I think if you look to this, it's really beautiful. For me, it was really a pleasure to see we come out of our the result of our discussions and mixing the contributions and bringing together the different spirits. So it's a positive mood, a wonderful mood. We all agreed that we will have to have some super light things, some super light stories with colors as feathery as possible. And on the other hand side, a lot of earth colors and a lot of really bright colors. This is always a thing people like, strong colors, bright colors, if they feel not so good. So, and we all felt the need for that. So the first story, a rather familiar outdoor topic, I would say, with a very cozy, familiar feeling. It's being outdoors, doing your outdoor sports. And nevertheless, we call it change, because we know that we have to change. I think this is now very clear. We have to change habits. We cannot return to life and business as usual after this months and weeks and months of lockdown and these new experiences. And so it's keeping the traditional things, of course, but on the other side, we have now to put together, it's like a big puzzle, we have to put together the pieces now, and also have the courage to do a strong stroke with a pencil, with a color, and change and shape a new vision and think newly about what we do and how we want to proceed. So, and the second story, of course, we have to accept that numbers and digitization and all this technology is part of our life, of our future. Nevertheless, these facts need fantasy, and we are the ones as designers and also as a sector which always claims for creativity and innovation. So we are the ones to bring a strong appeal of fantasy, or strong touch of fantasy to these facts. We have to work on this. And so for the first time, we really said explicitly, this is a story which needs the black and white as a strong color, because the black and white as a background to these colors, which are a little bit inspired by the screen, by the luminosity of the screens. And then this combination makes a very clear, nevertheless, a very positive mood. It's a bit technological, but the appeal overall is, if you add fantasy, like you can see on the black and white picture on the right-hand side, you can also do beautiful things and beautiful creative things in black and white, as we all know. The next thing is, of course, more than ever, we were all aware what it means to have the Earth, or that Earth is our base. So we took colors from our planet for also another outdoor sports idea, or in general, it's also beautiful, I would say, for gym, for well-being sports. So a really nice story, a very warm story, and can be also more masculine, more feminine, in according to how you put the colors together. And I think it will be interesting to see how we combine it when we work on the e-magazine. So a really wonderful story. I'm looking forward, and I think we all look forward to going out and doing outdoor sports, enjoying nature. And I think these colors already feed the lust for this going outdoors. So on the other hand side, a lot of colleagues with whom I talked during the last weeks feel a little bit of a void. I think we are not alone in feeling a void, or what to do with all this time we have now, as we are in a lockdown, and where we cannot go out and cannot do the usual agenda. But on the other hand side, as mentioned before, it's always about discovering new opportunities, new chances, and also to get to clean up your mind, I would say, and to think newly. In fact, when I was working on the presentation and also discussing with colleagues and exchanging, it was really interesting if you have a little bit of time, of spare time, and that we are not under stress all day long and every day. So it was really great to see what comes into existence if you take a little bit of time and you come. It was very inspiring. I really had 2 inspiring weeks the last 2 weeks. It was really great, and I'm really looking forward to work on the season. So the colors here, definitely earth colors, natural colors. And the funny thing was that my French colleague Marie and we had exactly, more or less exactly, the same range set up. So this was really stunning. We pointed out the same colors, with warm ochre, golden ochre, then with yellow, a little bit like a mimosa yellow, and then this bluish rose and a powerful orange, and leaf green. So, and just the contrast is this dark color, which is not a true black, but it's a more dark, super dark plum. Okay, so a really natural story, and really very positive color mood, and a very adaptable story. And then take off. Yes, because we have to take off again. Though the mood might not be very sparkling at the moment, nevertheless, we have to take off and to think about doing things new, about new direction, new perspectives. And so with a bright mood, and these are the colors. Also one topic which very clearly was set by all contributors, this strong turquoise, strong orange, bright, much stronger, much more energetic than the one in the other story about void, and also the pink, really really bright and strong. So this is the mood, the color mood for summer 2020, I would say. This is really the best example. Okay, and then a very important point was from the beginning that we said, and also one colleague from Italy, Pier Calligarini, he said the era of simplification is up. So we have to, we are living in an over-complex world, and we have to find new structures, new processes which are not that complicated. We have to simplify, and I think also the crisis shows here what is important to us. What do we want? Being together with someone, having space to roam around, to enjoy nature, and yeah, so we hope that we will be able also for our industry to simplify some structures and processes. I just mentioned the supply chain. So this was the color range here is very, sorry, I was too fast. The color range is the light one, but nevertheless with a certain weight, with this number 31, which is a background color more or less, and also this earthy, sandy, dark tone 29, which gives a little bit of base power to the soft tones, which are the core colors. Okay, and then venture. Of course, we have to face the fact that digital life, virtual life, augmented reality, whatever, will belong to our future. So just try it. If we are in the mood, and if with a lot of positive energy, just try it out. I think this is something we really have also to bring back to our industry when working on collections, to bring back experimentation, trying out, taking the time. Of course, it takes also some money for that, and maybe money is at the moment not something which we have in which we have to waste. But on the other hand side, this is also part of our future, and we have to venture, because I was working with some students by beginning of the year. There were some of them that just really already in this world, and they just live it, and they will live it for more, and they are the decision makers of tomorrow and the ones who will shape it. So we have to try, we have to think about, and then we have to make the decision how we want to go, and what we want to do, what we want to do as a as a society. But nevertheless, venture is something in our lust for newness we always have to keep in mind, and we have to keep the spirit of venturing. Yeah, so this was it for the moment. As usual, we will come up with the so-called early color information, because our color forecast, for those who don't know the performance colors by Nora Kühner, the forecast comes in 2 parts. As a very early color information, we give you all the colors here with the specifications of the most important color systems. So this is Achroma, Dystar, Pantone, and Coloro. And so that you can specify these colors, and we give you the overview of light and wash fastnesses, and the mood boards for each topic, for each story, color story. So this is something which we will prepare within the next 3 weeks, and then it will be available on the Performance Days website, and you can register there and just get your personal copy of this. And then for autumn, we prepare the e-magazine, which is then an e-magazine only available online as PDF, also as download. You have to register, and then you will get it at the Performance Days website, which is about 40 pages of inspiration, graphics, some descriptions of surfaces, of finishes, and so on. So a whole package of information for you. This is what Performance Colors by Nora Kühner is about, a true tool for your work, for your workflow, and for your inspiration. This is the most important thing for us all. So stay in touch, and I'm looking forward to receiving your questions. I will try to do my best to answer them. And yeah, thanks for listening. And my special thanks go this time to my colleagues Mirella Beccucci, Mariko Spa, Felicia Taricone, and Pierre Callegarini, who really took the time and energy and the positive spirit to contribute to this color forecast. And I think we have done a good job, and thanks to you. And thanks to you listening to me and seeing this webinar. Thanks, stay safe, and hope to see you in October at Performance Days.